Revenged Love. Chapter 2. The Rules of Engagement. Leo had never considered himself a competitive person. He didn't care for sports, hated the pressure of awards, and found people who thrived on rivalry exhausting. But ever since Elijah Winters entered the picture, everything felt like a contest, and not the kind you could easily walk away from. It began subtly. Who gave the more insightful comment in literature class? Who drew the professor's praise with a perfectly timed quote from Baldwin or Woolf? Who got to the Thursday poetry circle early enough to snag the best seat? It was ridiculous, really, how these mundane moments had turned into silent battlegrounds. But for Leo, every glance, every smile, every word that slipped out of Elijah's mouth felt like a challenge issued directly at him. Leo hadn't wanted to care. He reminded himself daily that Elijah was just another student, an overly confident one, sure, but ultimately harmless. Yet each time Elijah grinned across the seminar room, every time he dropped a joke that made the room erupt in laughter, Leo's jaw clenched. It wasn't just about Jamie anymore. It wasn't even about pride. This was personal, and worst of all, Elijah knew it. The second week of the semester brought with it a cruel twist of fate, a critical analysis project requiring partnered collaboration. Leo's stomach sank as names were called out, watching classmates shuffle into pairs. When Elijah's name was read alongside his own, Leo didn't bother hiding the grimace. As if summoned by cosmic mockery, Elijah appeared beside him, notebook in hand, lips already twitching. "Well," Elijah said, tossing a pen onto Leo's desk with theatrical flair. "Looks like we're partners. Hope you like arguing over metaphors." Leo raised an eyebrow and forced a neutral tone. "Only when they're used incorrectly." From that moment on, their afternoons belonged to the library. 3 days a week, same table by the third-floor window, same ritual of academic fencing. They traded literary theories like daggers, quoting obscure philosophers and dissecting subtext with fervor that bordered on obsession. Elijah was brilliant. There was no denying it. His interpretations were bold, sometimes infuriating, but rarely wrong, and his confidence was relentless. But Leo held his ground. He countered each argument with surgical precision, dissected every poetic line Elijah favored, and even managed to stun him into silence on more than one occasion. The tension between them grew thicker with every session, a slow-burning fire neither was willing to extinguish. What began as obligation turned into something else, something more charged, more intimate. One late afternoon, as the sun cast amber streaks across the hardwood floors, Elijah leaned back in his chair, fingers laced behind his head, watching Leo with narrowed eyes and a crooked smirk. "You know," he said, voice low, "for someone who looks like they'd rather throw me out a window, you debate like you're enjoying this." Leo didn't hesitate. "Maybe I just like winning." Elijah laughed, deep and warm. "Then you should be very worried. I don't lose often." Their eyes locked, not just in defiance, but with something else, something unspoken that pulsed beneath the surface. The room fell quiet, except for the distant hum of pages turning, the occasional cough from another student. Time slowed. Leo looked away first, heart pounding. Whatever game they were playing, it wasn't just about grades or recognition anymore. The rules had changed, blurred into something neither of them fully understood. Later that night, Leo lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, Elijah's words echoing in his mind. He tried to convince himself it was all still about Jamie, about proving he hadn't been so easily replaced. But deep down, something else was taking root, a curiosity, a spark, because when Elijah spoke, Leo listened. When Elijah challenged him, Leo rose. And when Elijah smiled, God, it did things to him. He wasn't just playing to win anymore. He was playing to understand why Elijah made his heart race faster than it ever had with Jamie. And that was far more dangerous,